What comes to mind when you hear the word Romanticism? Maybe candlelit poetry, stormy landscapes, or dramatic declarations of love. But Romanticism is more than just that. It was one of the most powerful philosophical and cultural movements in modern history. A reaction, a revolution, and a reimagining of what it means to be human. To understand Romanticism, we have to begin first with what it was reacting to, the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment, which dominated the intellectual landscape of the 17th and 18th centuries, championed reason, science, and rational progress. It was an age of discovery and confidence, a time when thinkers like Descartes, Locke, Kant, and Hume believed that through logic and methodical thought, we could unlock the secrets of the universe and improve the human condition. As Immanuel Kant famously put it, open quote, "Enlightenment is man's emergence from his self-imposed immaturity," close quote. In Enlightenment thought, human beings were fundamentally rational. The mind was a tool, perhaps the best tool for gaining knowledge. The natural world was seen as a kind of machine, governed by fixed laws, waiting to be understood and controlled. Knowledge would liberate us from superstition. Progress was inevitable. But not everyone felt at ease in this new world of rational clarity. As industrialization advanced and cities grew, some began to sense that something was being lost. That the drive for order and analysis was flattening the richness of human experience. That cold reason couldn't account for the warmth and the chaos of life. That in our quest to master nature, we had forgotten how to stand in awe of it. Romanticism arose in the late 18th century as a response to these concerns. It wasn't a single doctrine, but a loose constellation of ideas, values, and passions. And at its heart was a profound question. What if the most important truths aren't the ones that we can prove, but the ones we feel? Romanticism recentered the individual, not as a rational calculator, but as a feeling, imagining, yearning being. It turned inward to emotion, intuition, and the mysterious power of self. It embraced the irrational, spontaneous, and even the contradictory. It held that truth might be found not through equations or arguments, but through art, dreams, and revelation. Take Johann Fichte, for example. He didn't see the self as a passive observer of the world, but as an active force that shapes reality through its own striving and imagination. He wrote, open quote, "The kind of philosophy one chooses depends upon what kind of person one is," close quote. For Fichte, the I was not merely conscious. It was creative. Freedom was not just a political right, but the very condition of thought and experience. And then there's Friedrich Schelling, who proposed that nature and spirit are not opposites, but aspects of the same underlying reality. He rejected the mechanistic view of nature and instead saw it as alive, as something we are deeply connected to, not separate from. For Schelling, open quote, "Nature is visible spirit. Spirit is invisible nature," close quote. This was not a metaphor. This was metaphysics. In Schelling's view, the absolute, the ultimate ground for all being, was not something abstract or removed, but something that revealed itself through the unity of mind and world, especially through art. Romanticism saw nature differently than the Enlightenment. Where Enlightenment thinkers saw a system to be analysed, the Romantics saw a mystery to be experienced, a place of beauty, terror, and spiritual insight. William Wordsworth, one of the great Romantic poets, wrote, open quote, "Come forth into the light of things, let nature be your teacher," close quote. The Romantics didn't study nature to conquer it. They immersed themselves in it to commune with it, The forests, mountains, and oceans became symbols of the human spirit, vast, wild, and unknowable. And then there was the aesthetic revolution. Romantic thinkers and artists believed that art could reveal truths that systematic philosophy just couldn't. Friedrich Schlegel, one of the early Romantic theorists, said, open quote, "Only the poet can perceive the contradictions in things without resolving them," close quote. He embraced the fragment, the paradox, the ironic, the incomplete expression as a truer reflection of reality than any rigid system. For the Romantics, to feel deeply was a form of knowing. And to create art was not just to entertain, it was to philosophize. We can also see Romanticism's impact in the work of Soren Kierkegaard, who emerged slightly later but carried the Romantic spirit forward into Existentialism. For Kierkegaard, truth wasn't something we discover intellectually, it's something we live. He declared, open quote, "Subjectivity is truth, subjectivity is reality." Where Enlightenment philosophers sought universal knowledge, Kierkegaard looked inward. What matters most, he argued, is not whether a belief can be proven, but whether it defines and transforms your existence. Faith, for him, was not certainty, it was a leap. Romantics also explored the idea of the sublime, those moments of awe or terror when we confront something so vast and powerful it overwhelms us. It might be a storm, a mountain range, a cathedral, or even a moment of inner revelation. The sublime humbles us, but it also awakens something deep inside us. Edmund Burke, writing just before Romanticism took hold, described the sublime as, open quote, "the strongest emotion which the mind is capable of feeling," close quote. Romantics embraced that emotion. They believed that by confronting the sublime, we brush up against the infinite. Not to understand it, but to simply feel its presence. And perhaps that's the key to Romantic philosophy. A reverence for what lies beyond understanding. A willingness to admit that not everything important can be measured, proven, or controlled. That mystery has value. That emotion has dignity, that soul exists and matters. Romanticism did not seek to destroy Enlightenment values, it sought to balance them. To remind us that while reason is a powerful tool, it is not the whole of human life. We are not only minds, we are hearts, bodies, and spirits. And the world is not only a system, it is a story, a dream, a wild and beautiful unknown. Even today, in the age of data, algorithms, and automation, the questions the Romantics asked still echo. Can love be graphed? Can meaning be programmed? Can beauty be reduced to numbers? Romanticism answers no. And, more importantly, why would we want it to be? It calls us back to ourselves, not the self as a rational unit, but the self as a mystery, a flame, a question mark. And sometimes it reminds us that to see clearly, we must close our eyes and feel. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it interesting. This was a pretty short sort of overview of the Romantics. It's something that I have been in conversation with a friend of mine of late who is he's an English professor, and it's something they've been working on and analysing in their classes, and there is something in it that is beautiful, that speaks to us, certainly me, on a level that can't really be expressed in words or backed up by logic. It's a purely emotional proposition on that, in that respect, and it's wonderful. But it's also given us some incredible writers and some incredible thinkers who have merged poetry and philosophy into something truly beautiful. Whether it's right or wrong remains to be seen, but what is for certain is that it is a truly beautiful idea. So thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And as you've got this far, I would like to ask if you could do all the YouTube things, like the video and subscribe to the channel and so on. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.